Good morning. Thank you very much for that great introduction. It is indeed an honor to be here in New York City this morning, talking to our great business leaders. Um, it's always great to come up to this city and spend a little time. This is a very important city and very historical city in our nation's history, and always good to be up here. Ladies and gentlemen, distinguished guests, esteemed business leaders, and New Yorkers. Again, thank you for that warm introduction. I'd like to extend my gratitude to our gracious host this morning, Mr. John Anderson, whose leadership at Anderson Enterprises has been instrumental in driving economic growth in this great city. Also, I want to acknowledge Maria Gonzalez from City Ventures, whose innovative spirit continues to inspire us all. And a special thank you to Rachel Bennett, whose work in community outreach has made a significant impact on the lives of countless New Yorkers. Let's give them a round of applause. And thank you very much for your hard work. And they did a little work getting this event organized this morning with you guys. And thank you again for all you did for this. You know, as we gather here today in the vibrant heart of New York City, I come before you not just as a candidate, but as a steadfast advocate for our shared vision for a brighter future. These past 3 years have tested our nation's resolve like never before. From the unprecedented challenges of a global pandemic to the deepening divides that threaten our unity, we have faced trials that have pushed us to our limits. Yet, in the face of adversity, we have shown resilience and strength, proving time and time again that the American spirit cannot and will not be broken. Amidst these challenges, I hold dear the values instilled in me by my journey, which includes experiences both in Texas and beyond. Growing up in the vibrant city of Dallas, I learned firsthand the importance of hard work, resilience, and community. But my journey extends beyond Texas, and now standing here in this great city of New York, reminded of this resilience and the spirit of its people, facing challenges head on with determination and resolve. New York, with its rich history of innovation and leadership, has always been a beacon of hope and opportunity. I'm particularly honored to address both the remarkable business leaders present today, whose contributions drive our economy forward and whose leadership sets the tone for our nation's progress. Your dedication, innovation, and resilience had not only built successful enterprises, but also created countless opportunities for Americans across the country. It's with these values that I pledge to lead our nation forward, ensuring that every American, whether in Dallas or New York City or any corner of this great country, has the opportunity to thrive and succeed. From rebuilding our economy to confronting pressing issues like healthcare, education, and protecting the fundamental rights of every individual, I'm committed to fighting for justice and equality for all. Guided by the principles of integrity and compassion and relentless dedication to serving the people. Reflecting on the economic landscape 4 years ago, it's undeniable that we've made remarkable progress since then. You know, and I hear these comments all the time about the economy, about how bad the economy is. Let's take a look at where we were 4 years ago at this time. 4 years ago at this time, our nation had about 15% unemployment. We were in the midst of a pandemic. I know it's summertime, but schools were shut down with no clear idea of how to reopen them. Look where we are right now. I want you to look at the progress we made here over the past 4 years since when I took office. Our economy was, when we came in, the economy was reeling from the aftermath of a global financial crisis, and now we're on the road to recovery. It seemed daunting at the time, High unemployment rates plagued our workforce, leaving millions without jobs and struggling to make ends meet. Wages remain stagnant, failing to keep up with the pace of rising cost of living. Families face tough choices as they stretch their budgets to cover essential expenses, while the specter of economic uncertainty loomed large. Yet, despite these challenges, we've embarked on a journey of renewal and revitalization through resilience, determination, and the collective efforts of the American people. We've made significant strides in rebuilding our economy. Today, I stand before you proud to report that our nation's economic landscape looks vastly different from where it was 4 years ago. Unemployment rates have plummeted to historic lows, making a testament to the resilience of our workforce and the strength of our economy. More Americans are finding gainful employment and pursuing their dreams with renewed vigor and optimism. Wages have begun to rise, providing much needed relief to hardworking um, families and empowering individuals to build brighter futures for themselves and their loved ones. And think about it. We have come a long ways in 4 years. We really have. And I know there's people out there saying that we haven't made progress. Our unemployment rates are near 50-year lows, 50-year lows. And I see that, I hear that the news every morning about about where our economy is. There are more people working now than there was 4 years ago. Furthermore, our stock market has experienced unprecedented growth, reflecting a renewed sense of confidence and stability in our nation's economic prospects. Investors are bullish on America, recognizing the potential for growth and prosperity that lies ahead. However, amidst these signs of progress, we cannot ignore the very real challenges that persist. And I'm not telling you that everything in this country is rosy. It's not. We have some real issues. Aluminum and cardboard keep getting more expensive. So do health insurance and wages. Small business owners have said these are just a few of the reasons they plan to raise prices again this year. And that's one of the things I hear all the time. The prices keep going up. The prices keep going up. The rising cost of living has become a source of concern for many Americans as they grapple with increased expenses, making it harder to make ends meet. To tackle the root causes of these rising prices, we're pursuing a multifaceted approach that encompasses both short term and long term solutions. We're investing in infrastructure to modernize our transportation networks, enhance our energy grids, and bolster our supply chains, aiming to reduce costs for businesses and consumers alike. Additionally, we're working to address healthcare costs by implementing measures to lower prescription drug costs and expand access to affordable coverage. You you often hear me talk on my speeches about there's one good friend of mine back in Texas, and this is talking about the enormous cost of prescription drugs. She has a medication. It's not a medication that she wants. A lot of us take some medication that we think it's good, that we want to try, and it's not by doctor's orders. It's by our choice. This particular medication is by a doctor's orders. That prescription costs $700. How is that fair? How is that fair when Big Pharma is reaping in billions of dollars in profits? Billions of dollars in profits. You know, there is a medication. I haven't seen this commercial on TV for a while, but there was this commercial, and I won't name the drug it was pushing, but they were talking about this particular medication. And the commercial opens up with the spokesperson showing the prescription from a drugstore. It was like $450. He then shows he shows the same prescription bought through a plan that he's pushing $40. Look at the comparison in those two. Same drug, one's $4.50, one is $40. Every American in this country deserves a right to affordable health care and prescriptions. It should not be a choice of whether I feed my family or I fill a prescription. It should not be a choice. By addressing these issues head on, we could ensure that the American dream remains within reach for all who seek it. And just right across town here, Ellis Island, many of us in this room this morning are descendants of the men and women who came into Ellis Island. That's what America is. That's what America is. And every person who came into Ellis Island was looking for a better future, a better way to raise their families, a better country to live in. And they came into this country pursuing the American dream. And right now we're finding it hard for that to happen. It's harder to make that dream happen. And I want to do everything I can to see that every person in this country, every citizen in this country is entitled to everything that they deserve. And when I say that, we should not be paying arm and leg for prescriptions. We should not be paying arm and leg for health care. That should be a fundamental right, not a privilege. Furthermore, my administration is dedicated to modernizing our nation's infrastructure to meet demands of the 21st century. This includes replacing outdated lead pipes to ensure cleaner drinking water for our communities. Every American deserves access to safe, clean water, and we are making this a priority to safeguard public health and enhance the quality of life in our cities and towns. We're also committed to advancing voting rights to ensure that every citizen can freely exercise their right to vote without barriers. We're working to protect and expand access to the ballot box because our democracy thrives when every voice is heard and every vote is counted. This commitment to voting rights is fundamental to our nation's principles to the fair representation of all Americans. And every citizen who's qualified to vote deserves the right to vote. They should have access to vote. And we should require that every person has adequate access to vote. Now, I know in my home state of Texas, there are extended periods of time for early voting. Matter of fact, it's kind of surprising, but within the next few couple months, probably early voting begins for the general election. But those early voting schedules and times, they're available, but we've got to get the people. You got to get out to vote. You got to get out to vote. And there was a slogan in the last cycle. It talked about make a plan to vote, make a plan to vote. I know oftentimes people don't see the importance. Oh, my vote doesn't count. It does. It does count. That's the way I was raised back in Texas. Every single vote in this country counts. In addition to revitalizing our economy, my administration has set forth ambitious goals to address the pressing issues facing our nation. We're committed to ensuring access to a quality education for every child, regardless of zip code or socioeconomic status. And every citizen Every family who has a child in this country deserves the right to send their child to one, a school of their choice, a school of their choice. And secondly, they deserve that education that the United States and the states offer. Since December, the U.S. Department of Education has awarded $286 million to 264 grantees in every state to boost the training and hiring of school mental health professionals, particularly those from marginalized racial and ethnic backgrounds. The agency estimates that the infusion of cash will prepare more than 14,000 new providers. And this means investing in our schools, supporting our teachers, and expanding access to early education and affordable higher education options. Education is the key to unlocking opportunity and unleashing the full potential of every American. And we will spare no effort in ensuring that every child has the chance to succeed. You know, and that's another key thing I want to work on is one is teacher pay. That is the biggest, I think that right there is the biggest thing that's keeping folks from coming into the teaching profession. You know, Andrea, she's been a teacher for almost 30 years. And I remember that first couple of years that she was a teacher. Um, After teaching 9 months, and don't let somebody tell you that teaching is not a grind. It's a long, it's a long school year. And after 9 months, you're tired. You gave it your all. You gave it your all to your school, into your classroom, into your classes. And then it's time for summertime. But she wanted to earn a little extra money. So she taught summer school that first couple of years we were married. And at the end of summer school, and that there's like typically in Texas, and I'm not sure how it is up here, but typically in Texas, there's two summer school sessions. She taught both of them. At the end of that second session, you're within about 3 weeks of going back to school. She wasn't fully rested, ready for another 9 months of school. And it was a struggle. But why? But why should teachers have to struggle? Why should teachers? Why should why should their pay be so low? Why is that the case? My administration is going to do what it can, and we're going to increase teacher pay. My Back to Basics education program is going to send money to the states. And before you say this is another Washington power grab, it's not. What we're doing is we're sending money to the states to allocate for further for teacher pay increases. Think about this: the teachers, they are the key to the future of this country. Think about every day that you drop your student off at a school. And when you drop them off at the car line in the morning, it's your hope that when you pick them up several hours later in the afternoon, that one, they're safe, and two, they're smarter than they were 7 hours, 8 hours ago earlier when you dropped them off at school. I'm committed to seeing that our education system is among the best in the world. It is so important. And all the classrooms I've visited, and I visited quite a few, of all the classrooms I've visited, you look in there and the future of our country's there. There may be a future astronaut sitting in those chairs. There may be a future scientist that will cure some unknown disease that we don't even know about here this morning. There may be the first person to explore a planet we never even heard of. But the doors to those adventures start in the classrooms. They start in the classrooms. My own personal doctor, and I love this, in his examination room, he has a cartoon that he drew. I think he told me the other day it was like first or second grade. What he wanted to be. It must have been career day. What I want to be when I grew up, it was an astronaut, a pilot, or a doctor. And of those three choices he drew that morning, and I noticed it was just an assignment, but of the three choices or the three careers he drew about, he became one of them. He became one of them. And now is the chief medical officer for the hospital there in Texas. So teachers have an enormous responsibility, and they deserve to be paid for that enormous responsibility. Furthermore, we are taking bold action to address the urgent threat of climate change and transition to a clean energy future. This means investing in renewable energy sources, reducing our reliance on fossil fuels, and transitioning to electric vehicles. By leading the charge on climate change, we can create millions of good paying jobs, protect our planet for future generations, and ensure that every America remains a global leader in the fight against climate change. And what I'm basically trying to say is that we will be one of the leaders. But let me make this commitment here this morning to you. There's always a talk about when we're going to convert over to EVs. And I've heard different candidates in this race talk about a 10-year period, a 20-year period, 2030, 2040. What I'm going to tell you here this morning is this. We will not transition to EVs until the infrastructure in this country is ready for that. And we are not near that point. We are not near that point. And we will not transition, at least under my administration, we will not transition to full EVs until we're ready. And you got to think about the transition to what EVs will do to our economy. We need to think about that as well. So it's not just a snap decision to make. We're going to transition to EVs in 5 years, let's say. It's not a snap decision. It's going to take quite a while to do it, and I'm committed to assuring that the infrastructure is in place in this country before we make that transition. Additionally, we must address the proposed economic policies, the impact of proposed economic policies, such as the 10% tariff on all imports suggested by a former president. This plan includes imposing a uniform 10% tariff on all goods imported to the United States, meaning any product coming from other countries would be taxed at this rate. The revenue generated from these tariffs would replace the current income tax system, eliminating taxes based on individuals' and corporations' incomes. While this approach aims to simplify tax collection, it risks raising living costs, especially for lower income Americans, by increasing the prices of imported goods they rely on. Tariffs generally increase the cost of imported goods, which companies would likely pass on to consumers, leading to inflationary pressure. Where do we think all these price increases are coming from? And that's the number one issue that I hear when people talk about the economy. It's the prices. It's the prices of food. It's the prices of gas. Where do we think the cost is coming from? It's a lot of it. It's tariffs and taxes that are causing the increases. And it's not fair to keep rising our costs, keep rising prices when we have a large group of our citizens that are on fixed incomes and can't afford those increases. Lower income families spend a larger share of their income on basic goods, many of which are imported. As tariffs raise the prices of these goods, these families would feel the impact more acutely, creating a regressive effect where the tax burden disproportionately affects those of lower incomes. Another candidate, and I'm along with him, I agree with him on this, has criticized this system, arguing that it would effectively raise taxes on lower income Americans and widen economic equality. And it really would. Excuse me. It really would. And we shouldn't. Here's the thing when it comes to our seniors and those that are on fixed incomes. Why should they bear the brunt for this? Why should they bear the brunt for this? Um, a lot of folks are retirees, and they have worked hard for their retirement. They have given to this country, and now it's their time to enjoy their retirement. But all that's happening is prices are going up. Prices are going up. I'm committed to seeing that come to an end. I'm committed to seeing the end of increasing the prices to the point where our our citizens on fixed incomes can't afford them anymore. That's not right. That's not right. My administration is also committed to ensuring that every woman has the right to make decisions about her own body. We believe that access to safe and legal abortions is a fundamental right that must be protected. Recent attempts to restrict this right are a direct threat to women's health and autonomy. We will fight to ensure that every American or every woman has the freedom to choose what is best for her and her family. And let me just say this. Let me say this. Deep in my heart, it, I believe that taking a person's life is wrong. I was raised that way. But also, I deeply believe that we live in the United States of America, and every person has the right to make their own decisions, especially when it comes to health. The government has shouldn't have any input on the decisions that you and a doctor make. And this comes to this stance on abortion. That is a decision between you and your doctor, and the government should not be interfering with it and telling you and 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 telling you that you're not able to have an abortion because of a federal mandate. In closing this morning, let me say this. The road ahead may be challenging, but I have every confidence in the resilience and ingenuity of the American people. Together, we have overcome adversity time and time again. And together, we will build a future that is brighter and more prosperous than ever before. And, you know, there really is no limits to what we can do when we work together as one. You remember 4 years ago how we were applauding our first responders. I remember the flyovers by the military flight teams of the different cities, saluting our first responders because they were doing an incredible job um, protecting us and taking care of us. Yet, several months later, we turned against them. Imagine what we can do if we all work together. Imagine what we can do if we work together despite our differences. Every one of us here in this room this morning, I can guarantee you here this morning, we don't agree on everything, but I don't hate you for it. We disagree. This campaign this year has become I disagree on an issue, I hate you. I don't believe that, folks. I don't believe that. We disagree on issues, but I also believe in being a decent person and respecting each individual who is in this race. You know, one of President Reagan often set a great example by this, and this may date me how old I am, but back in his administration, remember he was a Republican president. We had a Democratic Speaker of the House, Tip O'Neill, and they would go at it all day long on their agendas. They had very different agendas for our country. All day long they go at it. But come 5 o'clock, they were the best of friends. They were the best of friends. Why can't we why can't we do things that way today? You know, and that brings up one other thing. The other just not too long ago, Andre and I were watching something on television, and she was telling me, Richard, you don't live in Ronald Reagan's America anymore. And she's right in that case. I want to see us return to patriotism in our country, to a love of our country. Do we have a right to protest? Absolutely, we have the right to protest. That's one of our constitutional rights. But what we don't have is the right to destroy property. We have the right to express our opinion, but not the right to destroy property. But I'm kind of getting off point on this. But what I wanted to say is this: if we work together as one, irregardless of who we are, there is no limit at all of what we can do as Americans if we do that and work together. May God bless you. May God bless our troops. And may God bless the United States of America. Thank you all very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you.